welcome. My name is Dennis Guddick. I'm the Vice President of the Rockets Investment, and I'm sitting here today with Gali Curley, Vice President of Hung Sheng Group for the Grenada Citizenship by Investment Program. Thank you, Gali, for your time today.
No, pleasure to be here. Lovely to be on your platform.
So I wanted to just ask just some very informal questions, get more of an idea of the program, for our investors, how one might invest and so forth. So we'll jump right in. But first, before we get into the detailed questions, perhaps run us through Hung Sheng Group, the project, and you guys as the company.
Yeah, so look, Hung Sheng, all-in-one integrated developer and operator of the resort itself. We are actually currently in talks to be a branded hotel. So I think by completion in 2027, we will most likely be a branded hotel in terms of operations. But we've been a developer domestically out in China for the last 20 years. And we're in Dubai, so I always refer us to sort of be like the EMA of China. I think in terms of our experience as a real estate developer, we're probably second to none. I know this is sort of our first CBI project, but look, construction engineering wise, we have built everything from commercial buildings to residential buildings to even infrastructure, of major cities.
Fantastic. So let's jump into some of the requirements of the program, how an investor, gets their foot into the door of obtaining the second citizenship. Why don't we start by explaining some of the key features that the Grenada Citizenship Program has to offer for investors?
Okay, look, Grenada I always refer to as like the Swiss Army knife of the CBI world. We have everything that the other 4 islands have, but more, right? So typically what do people talk about? Shenzhen area, all the Caribbean islands have it, so obviously Grenada has it,
right?
UK, not all of the Caribbean islands have it these days, but Grenada has it, right? But then we also have the additional E2 treaty with the US.
Yeah, that's interesting. Tell me a little bit more about that, because from what I understand, Grenada as a citizenship program allows access through an additional investment opportunity into the United States that has a plethora of benefits for investors. Correct,
absolutely. And look, if we compare the EB5 to E2, I always say, why would you choose EB5 over the E2,
Right.
Because look, you become a green card holder, which makes you eligible to obviously the worldwide taxation rules that the US imposes on their citizens.
Very true.
So an E2, you have the benefits of pretty much everything that the EB5 has to offer. Plus, you're not opening your books to worldwide taxation.
Right.
And typically looking at the net worth of our clients, I think it's very, very wise to obviously think about that implication. If you are a high net worth individual, then it makes sense, right? What do people go to the US for typically? Opportunities, education for their children, everything that you can think of that the US has to offer, you can achieve with an E2 visa, plus your financial planning for the future years.
Right. So it's the investment first into the citizenship program that Grenada offers.
Yeah.
And then how much is it as an additional investment to then go into the E2 route and all the details there?
Yeah. So look, the wording is a substantial investment amount. There's no set number, right? So EB5, you say 800,000. Right,
close to $1 million even.
Correct, exactly. So obviously 800,000 is the entry point, the rural areas. As you mentioned, if you're looking for kind of developed cities, well north of $1 million.
Right.
And even with 800,000, to be honest, once you've paid your fees and everything, you're up to $1 million anyway.
Yeah, very true.
So the E2 does not have an actual number, but we can safely assume it's north of $100,000.
So we have the E2 option as one of the benefits to the Grenada Citizenship Program. But in addition to that, what are some of the general benefits that an investor would get in just obtaining the second citizenship itself?
So look, just stability. I think majority of the industry is aware that Grenada obviously is very robust in their due diligence processes. And that's why typically in the history of the program, there has never been any kind of hiccups or problems to arise in say that we might lose Shenzhen or we might lose UK or even the US treaty.
Right, right. Which many programs have been experiencing in the past and even as of current.
Correct, exactly. And that's why I say if we look at the history of CBI, Grenada has always been a very, very stable program. And I think it's important that if you're investing, the amount of money that are involved in these programs, that you plan not only for today, but obviously 10 years, 5 years from now. So if we look at the track record of Grenada, it's always been a very stable program, and I think that it will always continue to be a very stable program. So you get your UK, Shenzhen, and China, Singapore, Russia, and all the economies that people want to have access to, and I think that they will continue to have access to these regions.
And it's very interesting because a lot of these countries throughout the Caribbean citizenship programs and even other citizenship programs in general, I know in the Caribbean at least, for the most part, a lot of the countries that people would actually want to travel to are generally highlighted. But Grenada is interesting in the fact that it highlights a few key countries that, especially investors, might be looking towards and entering their markets. Maybe expound on that. I know you mentioned just now Singapore, but also access to Hong Kong, mainland China.
Yeah, so you already mentioned the countries, and to me, actually, that's more important than the number of countries.
Right.
We can talk about this island has 156 visa-free countries, etc. Compared to the 146 Grenada has. But these additional 10 countries. I won't say more. Let's just
remote, isolated places. It's not like you're going to visit there, but key countries like Singapore. Singapore's marketplace for investors, Hong Kong's marketplace. I mean, these are really key global and strategic locations in the world that Grenada gives you not only access to, but visa-free access to, and then as well, the benefits of simply being able to penetrate that marketplace.
Correct, exactly. So we talk about enhancing the global mobility, right? But there has to be a reason to why you would want to enhance this mobility, And for me, obviously, as you mentioned, it makes sense that you would want to go and explore opportunities in Singapore, go and explore opportunities in Hong Kong, China, right?
Right.
For me, actually, the CBI world is like a merge of financial services and the immigration industry.
Yes.
What do people typically do immigration for? Better opportunities, maybe family welfare, so on and so forth. Financial services, people want to protect their wealth and grow their wealth, So if you access these type of economies, you can do both, right? Your lifestyle will improve, but equally your wealth and opportunities become bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and we've been having the discussion a lot lately surrounding this, a portfolio. Not only segregated to immigration programs themselves, CBI, RBI, etc., but other options of diversification, because at the end of the day, these are not just clients by name client, they are investors. They're investing into the program, and then as a result, they get to open the opportunities to invest elsewhere. So we're big believers at the Rockets investment in that. And Grenada is a program that definitely allows diversification immediately from day one. Not only visa-free access to the countries, to particular countries that are interesting marketplaces, but as well through the E2 investment route that brings you into the United States and the world of opportunities that you get just in that general location itself. Let's dive into some of the key highlights that investors would need to know when entering into the opportunity with Hung Sheng, with entering into the Grenada Citizenship.
Like the eligibility.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So of course, look, everyone has to be in good standing of character, so to speak. We're looking for real investors, people who can bring opportunities to the island itself as well. We would hope that all of our investors, once they acquire the citizenship, would at least come and visit us in Grenada, explore what opportunities that there might be there. And we're looking for just good character people to be, that's our main criteria.
What would be the first step in entering into the opportunity for Grenada citizenship? submitting a passport with you guys, and then you would do your due diligence check, and what's the
Correct.
the process moving forward look like?
Yeah. So look, we do obviously all the world check on the client prior to submissions.
Which you do free of charge, by the way, correct?
Yeah. Correct. Exactly.
Fantastic.
Yes. So I mean, we have the official due diligence process with the actual government of Grenada itself, but then obviously we have the kind of more preliminary due diligence checks with Heng Sheng itself, right? So we, as a service provider, want to kind of vet the client, albeit it's at a basic level, but we want to make sure again that not only they're investing into Grenada, but they're obviously investing into the national resort with us. So yeah, we do the world checks on them, as you mentioned, free of charge. And then we want to check, that their money is legitimate, it's coming, that is a source of wealth, plus a source of funds.
Right.
So it's not just about having the money, it's about how did you actually acquire this over the time. So the source of funds is important, but equally the source of wealth is very important as well, right?
Which is key to the legitimacy of these programs, because a lot of people may think like, oh, okay, this is kind of the potential of funny business happening here because I get a second government document that allows me all this global mobility. But in fact, rigorous due diligence is applied and checks and balances are in place to make sure that the right investors, the right clientele are contributing to the local economy and therefore obtaining the second citizenship.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a minimum of 3 to 4 layers, essentially, right? I cannot speak for other service providers. Maybe they don't do due diligence, so we say 3. But in our case, there's 4, right? We do the Heng Sheng due diligence process. Then we have the local agent, right? The local lawyer who does the due diligence process before submission. Then you have the actual CBI unit who will do the diligence. But then you have the third-party report providers, right, who check and verify all the information, which is an independent company aside from everybody. So you have 4 layers of due diligence to make sure that it is legitimate.
So let's discuss now, we went through a bit of the application process, the layers of due diligence that you guys go through when onboarding clientele and investors. Let's discuss a bit of the local economy, what it does to Grenada itself, what investors are contributing into. I know you mentioned the development, but let's dive a little bit into the development and how it's contributing to the local economy on ground there.
Look, it's the trickle-down economy effect, right? So I think for us, especially given that we're a full-fledged resort, typical projects in the past have been sort of just a room, right? A hotel, right? You get a room and okay, if you want to come, cool. If not, then we're not too sure. But for us, because we're kind of a one-stop shop, so to call, we have obviously 506 hotel rooms, majority of which are sea view suites. But then we also have the commercial buildings on the level ground of the boutique shops, which will be most predominantly local Grenadians, right? Selling their artisan facts, and we bring a new level of kind of shopping experience to obviously the tourism effect, but the locals will be the ones to sell everything there. And then obviously, look, we have restaurants, right? Again, this is the trickle down. What does a restaurant mean? Yeah, we can provide a service to the client, but where the food will come from, local farmers, local, right? And then again, it's not just from the farmers. The transportation companies of Grenada have to transport from the farms to our hotel. So actually, in my opinion, the economy in many, many ways will be developed and grow, right?
Plus the local employment opportunities that are going to come from it.
Yes.
So
which is a given, typically, And even in the construction phase that we're in right now, we've seen great development actually, because obviously we've brought in our own skilled engineers. We then have the labor force of Grenadians who are now learning, of how to do this engineering of this aspect, because Grenada has never seen a project actually of this size or magnitude. So the skill level and the education level needed is obviously different to what they've previously been going through. And I've seen a lot of Grenadians now learning, about how to do different type of engineering.
Different skill sets and such.
Exactly.
And such. I've seen the master plan. It's actually very, very interesting. It looks like it's going to be quite the robust project, not only for the island itself, but really for a project of that scale in general. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see the finished product. It's interesting that you have these layers in place for your own checks and balances, but at the same time, the program from start to finish, at least from the moment that a client is going through the pre-qualification check to the application process to passport in hand, doesn't seem to take that much time as one might think.
No, it's only 4 to 6 months in most cases. So absolutely, if you compare that to EB5, waiting period of minimum 5 to 7 years before you actually get the interview to see if you've been rejected or approved, So imagine waiting 7 years to find out you've been rejected.
Right.
Golden visa programs, very similar, all mandated 5 years before you can actually apply. But we all know equally, once you do apply, it takes another 1-2 years to be granted citizenship. So compared to 5-7 years, I think 4 to 6 months is very, very, very convenient.
So 4 to 6 months seems to be the average time frame that clients from start to finish are seeing their passports delivered in hand?
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And the government always strives to that type of time frame. Because it's obviously one of the benefits of the Caribbean passports.
Mm-hmm. Which is actually one of the faster programs that clients and investors can enter into today.
Yeah. Look, in the industry, so to speak, it is the fastest.
Right.
It doesn't matter which program you want to compare it to, it's the fastest,
mm-hmm.
right?
Plus all the benefits and legitimacy that it carries alongside it. And then it has the quick to speed delivery time as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Even, kind of lesser known programs in South America, you're still talking 3-4 years as a resident, and then you can apply for citizenship.
Yeah.
But the difference is also not just the speed, but the fact that you can be done remotely. You do not need to visit the islands to apply for the programs. And then obviously there's no requirement to live on the island to acquire or maintain your citizenship.
And that's interesting in comparison to even other residency programs as well as citizenship programs that require rigorous biometrics or interviews, going to these locations for visit after visit, having to uproot yourself and your livelihood, work, etc., family, to have to go there for your own eligibility. But Grenada allows you to do all this essentially from the comfort of your own home or office or wherever you may be.
Exactly, yeah, So look, whether it's 185 days or only 7 days a year, you still got to go there, right? You got to take time out of your life to go and do that. So I think the fact that there's no need to visit at all is a very, very, very compelling selling point.
Yes, indeed, I agree. So you've been in the industry for quite some time now, many years, and I would like for you to expound on that, of course, but not only do you have experience now in the development world of the real estate resort side of things, but as well on the investment side of things as well. If you wouldn't mind just telling our viewers a little bit about yourself.
So look, I come from the UK originally, and I was in the banking world. So anything to do with the kind of mutual funds and life insurance, financial planning basically, or wealth management often referred to. And that's why I think I say it's always a balance of financial services and the immigration industry. So the background started off in financial services, then I went into the UK immigration side of things. Obviously here predominantly in Dubai, clients looking to relocate or set up businesses in the UK. And then we went into the whole golden visa side of things, and then Caribbean, CBI. So for the past 8 years or so, we've been focused on the RCBI industry. And that's why I can confidently say that Grenada is the Swiss Army of our industry. That any other program, if it has something to offer, I genuinely believe that Grenada can offer it as well and match it, and certain things would go above.
So it's very intriguing and interesting as well that you're able to not only marry your skills together of financial and immigration related financial programs and such, but as well the development itself does the same. So you have, like I mentioned, the robust project and the scale of it, and all the amenities and all the economic benefits that are going to come from it, but as well attaching it to the Citizenship by Investment program in and of itself. So it seems like you're quite the perfect guy in your current role and marrying together the perfect project with its perfect program. So it's interesting how it's all circling together.
Well, it's very kind of you to say that. Thank you for that. But yeah, look, I honestly genuinely believe that the industry has benefited from the Grenada program and 100% the local economy. I've recently just come back from there, as you know, it was in January I was over there, and it's completely different to last year, February when I went. The roads are better, traffic lights have been installed, new community centres have been opened, and most of these are from funds derived from the CBI industry.
Right.
So aside from the actual resort, we can definitely see the actual benefit of the local economy. And then look, once our project is finished, we have plans to develop the road leading up to our project. So even from our own infrastructure side of Grenada, we see a lot of additional benefits as well.
And just in closing, what would your advice be to investors that are looking to get into this program or having to think on is it the right move for their family planning, etc.? What would your advice be to not only our investors but investors and clients in general?
Look, as I say, it's important to know which economies you have access to. I'm not a big fan of getting caught up on the number of visa-free countries, right? It's important which countries you have visa-free access to and which economies you can actually go and do business and opportunities out there for, and then equally planning for the future. I think it's not right to name, the islands or programs, but if you just do a bit of basic research, you will see that majority of them are doing reforms, let's call it, because of their integrity or the visa-free accesses that they have lost. So I'm sure that the investor 2 years ago, when they made the investment into this program, they had plans, to enhance their global mobility, but it's been stripped.
Right. Yeah.
So if you're investing, the amount of money that we're talking about, it's important that you consider the future. In 5 years' time, do I still have global access to the countries I'm looking at? Even in 10 years' time, do you have global access to all these countries that you're currently looking at? And look, Grenada is obviously a generational program which gets passed down, and you can include initially as well a lot of generations. So again, in 20 years' time, what will the benefit be to your children? What would the benefit be to your grandchildren? So I think when you always talk about the price of a product, you've always got to actually delve into the value of what you're purchasing.
Yeah, it's not always cheap and cheerful. The value add really speaks for itself. And like you mentioned, which is key in my perspective, stability. And because Grenada is right next to the United States of America, having that strong relationship since 1988 with the United States really solidifies that stability for sure.
Yeah. US is the big brother to us, which comes with its own challenges actually, But we're very happy to be associated with obviously the close ties. Even getting a B2, B1 visa for 10 years, it's pretty more convenient, I would say, compared to other passport holders. The new visa requirements of Canada. If you have the US visa, you have visa-free access to Canada. So that's why I say, Grenada, you have all the actual official global mobility aspects, but then obviously you can apply for the 10-year US visa, get visa-free access to Canada. So you kind of cover all bases.
Right. Well, Gali, thank you very much. We're excited to not only be promoting this project that Heng Sheng has, but also to be a provider of you guys. It's a privilege of ours to offer this sound investment opportunity for our clientele. We have the peace of mind of the project itself, knowing its details and ins and outs, and it definitely is amongst the CBI world, at least right now, the go-to program as well as project, in our opinion.
So thank you for putting us on your platform, first of all. I think it's very important that obviously we collaborate more intensely with our preferred partners. Rocket Investments obviously being one of our preferred partners out here in the Middle East. We're very, very, very optimistic about our collaboration going forward. And of course, we have local offices in Grenada to support your clients and investors through the full process, A to Z. You know, in all aspects of the program, we'll be able to assist your clients. So we're very happy to be associated with you.
We're excited to be, promoting the project and working with you, and we certainly look forward to the future to come. So thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thank you, Dennis.